Hi, Speech 1315, and welcome to Chapter 16 of Public Speaking for College and Career, Speaking to Persuade. The goals of a persuasive speech or speaker is to A, win over your listeners, B, know your subject thoroughly, and C, maintain a high standard of ethical behavior. What this means is, first and foremost, you're looking to persuade them or change their viewpoints on something or persuade them to take action. You also need to know your subject thoroughly, because a lot of times you'll have to handle objections or people who aren't persuaded by what you're saying. So you'll need to answer any questions that they may have, but you also need to maintain a high standard of ethical behavior. Think about what you're asking people to do, but also think about, are you speaking truthfully with the research that you are presenting upon? Persuasive speakers and persuasive speaking is seen all over the news media when it comes to politics. Politicians are constantly trying to persuade people to follow them, agree with something that they're trying to pass, or a belief that they may have. And so they have a high ethical standard of making sure that they don't say anything or persuade the general public to think a way that they shouldn't. And so you have a lot of ethical behavior, a high standard of ethical behavior when it comes to your public speeches. There are two main types of persuasive speeches. There are speeches that influence thinking and speeches to motivate action. So a speech to influence thinking may look like this. This is the purpose statement, is to convince my audience that plastic bags should be banned in grocery stores. In contrast, a speech to motivate action may look like a sample purpose statement of, to persuade my audience to use reusable bags when grocery shopping. This is dependent on your audience members, the severity of the issue. So for example, what's easier to persuade when it comes to using electrical vehicles, right? You're like the goal of trying to use electrical vehicles. Is it easier to tell a room full of gas moguls that they need to switch over, and you think that one speech is going to convince them? Or do you think you'll have more power convincing individuals who are just average everyday car owners to switch to an electrical vehicle? Probably the latter. So but either way, like with the gas moguls, you are influencing thinking, whereas with the average day person, you may be doing a speech to motivate action or change. When you are doing a persuasive speech that is supposed to motivate action, you need to have a call to action, or better known as CTA. This is where you ask for a precise action to be taken. You get a response from them, or you don't pressure listeners. You just tell them what you're expecting moving forward and see how they respond, and you don't harass them into being persuaded, essentially. There are a couple of different patterns of organization for setting up your persuasive speech. This one is called the motivated sequence, and it starts off with attention, a need, a satisfaction, a visualization, and action. So what that looks like is, let's say we're talking about food poisoning and how deathly ill it can make you. So you grab the audience attention, but you go on to say, a lot of times fruit can be a huge cause of this food poisoning because they have pesticides on them. To satisfy and relieve this problem, you can wash your produce more effectively. And you give a visualization. I don't know. You visualize that for them. You say, this is what it looks like, or this is how you would rinse the food product. And then you give them action. So what steps do you want them to take? You could say, today I want you to go out and start washing your fruits and vegetables with water and vinegar and baking soda. Just try it, right? Or like, try it today. That's a clear action that you want me to take. So that is the example of attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action as one outline for a persuasive speech. Then there's the problem solution. So this is where you present the problem and then immediately present the solution. So the problem might be texting while driving. The solution is, you don't text and drive. Real quick, problem solution. Another form is statement of reasons. So you state all the different reasons why people should engage in whatever you're trying to persuade them to do. So for example, if you're trying to persuade people to be open to space travel, you may say space traveling is a great psychological boost. Another reason why you should space travel is because we may be able to gain natural resources. And then thirdly, it's exploration. You'll be able to explore the universe. So those are the statements of reasons. And that's another outline for how to formulate a persuasive speech. You can do a comparative advantage. So you talk about different advantages, the first advantage, second, third. So let's say that we were comparing fruits versus vegetables and or organic fruits and vegetables versus non-organic. The first advantage of organic is there's a lack of pesticides, which is great. Another advantage is that it's better for you. And the third one is that it's environmentally friendly. Oh my goodness, I apologize. So those are all comparative advantages. After the persuasive speech, another great tool or tactic that some people will use to be persuasive is they'll use leave behinds. Think about when you are going to purchase a car, the salesman or woman will give you a brochure. This is called a leave behind. So you can walk away with something. And then my final slide for this chapter is a tip for your career. So my first tip is use a role play to change behavior. So let's say you are a manager of a restaurant and you are trying to train your employees on how to handle disgruntled customers. Role play those situations out, because a lot of times when, if you're dealing with conflict or whatever it might be, they usually end up in persuasive situations where they're trying to persuade them or handle the conflict effectively. So role playing can be really beneficial in your career. And then the second one is view persuasion as a long-term process. When it comes to finances or business, sometimes deals can take months on end to complete. And so it's really important that you view persuasion as something that doesn't just happen once, like it's something you're constantly doing. In a way, we're always persuading people of our brand and who we are. So if you think of yourself as a really stylish or fashionistic individual, what are you probably doing? You're probably posting on Instagram your style. You're probably wearing the latest trends in clothing. You're constantly persuading people that you are a credible source to come talk to when it comes to fashion. And so this just goes back to the original concept from chapter 1 or any intro to communication course, which is you're never not communicating. And so just view persuasion as something that you're constantly doing and must be aware of. With that being said, that is all I have for chapter 16. As always, email me if you have any questions about it. And I look forward to your persuasive speeches being awesome because you've watched this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.